We're up to the very end of Samach Amid Beis. The Mishnah had said that there are no Simani Oif from the Torah. The Torah lists birds, it lists 24 non-kosher birds, but Simani Ha'oif are not from the Torah. Unlike Simani Behemo, which is chewing your cud and split hooves, which is in the Torah, Simani Ha'oif are not in the Torah. So the Gemara asks a question. The Gemara, I'll just say it outside, the Gemara is going to say, what do you mean Simani Ha'oif is not in the Torah? We know that we have a tradition that there are 24 non-kosher birds, and they have qualities. And there are 4 simani of kashrus. The Torah lists the 24 non-kosher birds, one of which is an eagle, a nesher, maybe an eagle, I'm not sure. And it also lists kosher birds. The kosher birds have 4 qualities. The nesher, the non-kosher bird, at least it's out of the list, has 0 of those qualities. So there are certain qualities. So how could you tell me there's no simani kashrus from the Torah? There seems to be simani kashrus. Says the Gemara, V'loi, there's no simani kashrus from the Torah of Tanya, but doesn't the Brisa say nesher? Now let me just say outside, there are 24 non-kosher birds. Of the 24 non-kosher birds, 20 have 3 of the kosher signs. The Oiriv has 2 of the non-kosher signs. The Peres and Azniyah have 1 of the non-kosher signs, and the nesher has 0. So of all the birds, the nesher is the most non-kosher. It has 0 of the signs. Nesher. And what are those non-kosher signs, or what are the signs of a kosher bird? Manesher miyuchad she'ein lo etz b'yiser, it doesn't have an extra toe. Zefek, it doesn't have a crop, which is part of the stomach. In kurgma niklaf, and its gizzards are not able to be peeled. You can't peel the skin of that stomach, of the intestines. The daris vaychel, and it claws with its, it eats with its claws. Or according to Taisus, it kills it eats while the animal's still alive, the victim is still alive. But kitzah, those are the 4 simane kashrus. The nesher doesn't have any, meaning it has all 4 of the simane tuma. It doesn't have any of the simane kashrus. Av kol kiyotze b'tameh. So to any bird that's like the nesher is also going to be tameh, as we'll see in a moment. That's the non-kosher bird. The Torah in the pasuk specifies that as a karban you bring a turtle dove. Turtle doves have the opposite. If let's say what are the 4 simani of tuma? So missing a toe, not having a crop, the gizzards not being able to peel, and daris va'oichel, Torah have the opposite. They have all simani kashrus. The Gemara says, Torah sheish ben etz b'yisera, the turtle dove is kosher and it has an extra toe. V'zefik, and it has a crop. V'kurkum niklov, and the gizzards are able to be peeled. V'ein daris va'oichel, and they're not daris. So in other words, and it says av kol kiyotze ben Torah, so that's the sign of kashrus. So in other words, the question is, how could you tell me there's no simani kashrus when there is? Chazal understood that the nesher is missing these 4 things that the dove has, which means the dove has 4 of the simani kashrus and the nesher does not. So how could you tell me there's no such thing as simani kashrus? There seems to be. So says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi, le'nemar pirushan midivrei Torah el midivrei sefer. It's not clear in the Torah what are the simani kashrus. Unlike the fish, where the Torah specifies what the simani kashrus are, which are fins and scales, and unlike a behema, which the Torah specifies the simani kashrus, which is a split hooves and a choosing its cud, when it comes to the birds, the Torah just lists birds. Chazal understood what the simani kashrus are, but it's not before in the Torah. Okay. Now, we're going to basically have the following issue. The following issue is like this. You have the nesher, which is missing, has 0 signs. It has 4 signs of tumah. It has 0 signs of kashrus. The Torah specifies a nesher as being non-kosher. The Torah also specifies that a dove is kosher, and the dove has all 4 signs of kashrus. Now, those are pretty extreme. The question is, what if you have a bird that's in between that? In other words, I have a random bird. I don't know what type of bird it is. It comes up and it has 1 sign of kashrus or 2 signs of kashrus. The question is, can I eat it? Do we say that the main focus is a nesher, and you have to, for it to be non-kosher, it has to be as extreme as a nesher, which has 0 signs of kashrus, but if it has even 1 sign of kashrus, you're good to go? Or do you say, no, the ikar is the turtle dove. In order for it to be edible, you have to have all 4 signs of kashrus. That's the question, you have these 2 opposite extremes. You have the nesher, which is on one side, and you have the turtle dove on the other. What about every bird that falls in between? So says the Gemara, Tani Rav Chia, if a bird comes before us with 1 sign, it's tahar, it's kosher. Why? Because Rav Chia says the main focus is the nesher. The nesher is the ikar. The nesher is the sort of the base, And for it to be non-kosher, it has to be like the nesher, which is missing all simanei kashrus. If a bird comes to us and has even one siman of kashrus, you could eat it. Just like the nesher has zero simanei of kashrus, it doesn't have an added toe, it doesn't have a crop, it doesn't have a gizzard's peeling, and it doesn't. It's daris v'oichel. So it has zero simanei of kashrus. So too all birds that have zero simanei kashrus cannot be eaten. Ha'ika de'islechad. But if a bird merely has one siman of kashrus, it's teichol. So says the Gemara, an obvious question. Why are you focusing and saying that the ikr, the paradigm, is the nesher, and if it's not like the nesher, it's kosher? Why don't I be machmer and say, the Torah specifies a torin, a turtle dove, that has 4 simanei kashrus, and say it has to be like the turtle dove in order to be kosher. If it's missing one of the simanei kashrus, if it only has 3, 2, or 1, it's no good. So instead of saying like the turtle dove, which is completely empty, it's like the glass is empty of kashrus. So if a cup comes in front of us that has a little bit of kashrus, you're fine. Focus on the turtle dove and say that's a full glass of kashrus, and any bird that's a little bit less than that is no good. So the Gemara says the following answer, and that is, we're going to focus on the nesher being the ikr. Why? If the turtle dove is the ikr, and that in order for a bird to be eaten, it has to have all simanei kashrus. Let me ask you a question. Why does the Torah have to specify all 424 non-kosher birds? I told you, when it comes to 24 non-kosher birds, there's 24. The nesher has zero simanei kashrus. The parrots and the azniyah have 1. The oriv has 2. And 20 birds have 3 simanei kashrus. Now, if the ikr is the nesher, that means that the Torah is saying that in order for a bird to be non-kosher, it has to be like the nesher, which has 0 siman kashrus. But if any bird has 1 siman kashrus, you could eat it. And the other 23 birds are gzeres hakosevs, meaning the other 23 birds have at least 1 siman of kashrus, and you'd think they should be kosher, but they're gzeres hakosev, fine, I could accept that. But if you want to tell me that the paradigm of kashrus is the turtle dove, and in order to eat a bird, it has to be like the turtle dove, which is all 4 simanei kashrus, then why does the Torah have to list any other non-kosher birds? Just say, don't eat, you have to eat it, it has to be like the turtle dove, which has all 4, and anything that doesn't all 4 is out. You don't have to list all 24. You see, if the ikr is the nesher, I get why the Torah mentions it. The Torah mentions the nesher, which has 0 simanei kashrus, to tell me that in order for a bird to be kosher, it has to just be a little bit better than the nesher, a little bit more. Why did it list the other 23? Those are gzeres hakosevs, because those actually, it's the Torah's necessary. Why? According to this, the nesher is 0. Any bird that comes in front of us that has even 1 siman of kashrus is kosher. But the Torah has to list these 23. They are exceptions to the rule. They have siman of kashrus, but they're not kosher. Then I get it. You need all 24 to be listed. The nesher, because that's the paradigm, and the other 23 because they're the exceptions. But if the ikr is torin, is turtle doves, and in order to eat a bird, it has to be like the turtle dove, which is all 4 simanei kashrus, then just write that. You don't have to list any of the non-kosher birds. Just tell me turtle doves, and I'll know anything that's missing 1 is out. That will include all 24. You don't have to list the nesher. You don't have to list all the 23 birds. It says the Gemara, Im kein shar oifes tamein dekas rachman alamali. If the turtle dove is the paradigm of kashrus, and any bird that's missing even 1 is out, then the Torah does not have to list the other 24 birds. It says the Gemara, the same thing. The Gemara is not going to repeat itself. Again, we've thought that the nesher is the paradigm of kashrus. We're saying the nesher is the paradigm of kashrus, meaning if you're like the nesher, you're out, which is 0 siman kashrus. If you even have 1, you're good to go, except for the other 23, they're the exceptions to the rule. So now the Gemara is going to say, okay, I get it. You're going to learn out, the focus is on the non-kosher birds. You're going to focus on the nesher being the paradigm. Maybe the nesher should not be the paradigm. Says the Gemara, V'neilf minayu. Let's focus on a bird that, say, has 3 siman kashrus, one of the other 20 birds. Maybe say, that's the paradigm of kashrus, and say that if you have a bird that has 3 siman of kashrus, let's say, the Gemara says, V'neilf minayu. The Gemara says instead of, right, so we're not going to focus on the turtle dove being the paradigm of kashrus, because then why do I have to list the other 24 non-kosher birds? I get it. Pick a bird that has 3 simanim of kashrus and that's not edible. Say, one of the 24 birds, say that's the source, meaning learn out from that bird. Just like that bird has 3 simanim of kashrus and it's still not good, so to any bird that has 3 simanim of kashrus is also not good. Instead of saying, like the turtle dove, right, the nesher. The nesher is the source, that it's missing anything, but if any siman of kashrus, if a bird has any siman of kashrus good to go, focus on one of the birds that has 3 simanim of kashrus and say, instead of that being the exception, maybe that's the rule. And say, even if a bird has 3 siman of kashrus, it's no good. So says the Gemara, Im Kain, if that would be the case, if 3 is the rule, then why does that Torah have to say an Oriv? An Oriv only has 2 simanim of kashrus. If 3 is the rule, and saying that even a bird with 3 simanim kashrus is out, you need all 4, then why does the pasuk have to say an Oriv is also out? An Oriv only has 2. It must be that really the nesher is the rule, and any bird that has a siman of kashrus is acceptable, and these are the exceptions. Because if you're going to focus on a bird that has 3 simanim of kashrus and it's still no good, and say, that's the rule, then why does the Torah have to specify an Oriv is treif? An Oriv only has 2. Of course it's treif. Says the Gemara, Hasha Disli Tlasli Achina Disli Tremi. Boy, go to the next page. So it says the Gemara, okay, now we're just whittling it down. Right? We can't learn out from Torin, which has all 4, and say a bird needs all 4, because then what do I have to list the 24 non-kosher birds? Just tell me all 4, and then I get the other 24. So, okay, pick a non-kosher bird that has 3, and say maybe that's the rule, that you need at least, that 3 is not enough, meaning you need more than that. The Gemara says can't be, because then why does the Torah have to say an Oriv is not kosher? The Gemara says, okay, now learn out from an Oriv. Maybe Oriv is the rule, that 2 is not enough, and you need 3. The Gemara is going to say, because then a Perez as Nazniah, which only have 1, the Torah outlaws. Why does the Torah have to do this? It must be the nesher is the rule. That it's treif if it has 0, but if it has 1 siman kashrus, it's okay, and the other 23 are the exceptions of the rule. The Gemara says, Ma'asim trei loy avkol trei loy, im kain peres vazniyad, the kasar achman alamali, hasha disli trei loy achlin and disli chan miboy. So the Gemara says, okay, we'll learn now from the peres and azniyah, that they have 1 siman kashrus and they're no good. Instead of saying they're the exceptions, maybe they're the rule. Im kain nesher, the kasar achman alamali. Then why does the Torah have to mention a nesher? And that's really what it comes down to. The Torah mentioned nesher, which has 0 siman of kashrus. Why does the Torah have to do this? If I know that 1 siman is no good, or 2 simanim is no good, or 3 simanim is no good, then having 0 simanim, of course, is no good. It must be that nesher is the rule. That any bird that's not like a nesher is out, meaning any bird that has 0 siman of kashrus is out, but if it has 1 siman of kashrus, it's acceptable, and the other 23 birds that the Torah mentions are the exceptions to the rule. Says the Gemara, Hasha disli chad le'achlin d'lesli chad miboy, elanesh d'lesli klal hu d'loi techal d'isli chad techal. I want to make one point. So the conclusion is basically that if a bird has 1 siman of kashrus, it's acceptable, as long as it's not one of the 24 listed in the Torah, because they're the exceptions to the rule, because they have 1 siman of kashrus and they're still no good. That's why you need a Messiah by birds for halacha, because you can come across a random bird and it has, let's say, 2 siman kashrus. You're like, oh, 2's enough, 1's enough. The problem is those 24 birds are the exceptions. So you have to know that it's not one of those 24 birds. Okay, so the Gemara says, first the Gemara wanted to learn out from a Torin, that you need all 4. The Gemara says, no, because then what do you need all the 24 non-kosher? The Gemara says, okay, then learn out from one of the birds that has 3 siman kashrus. No, because then why do you have to mention the Oriv? Learn out from the Oriv. No, because then why did Sarah have to mention the Peres Ozniyah? So, okay, learn out from the Peres Ozniyah. You can't, because why does the Torah have to say Nesher? Fine. The Gemara just has one quick point. There was a Havamina I would learn out from the Peres Ozniyah, but the Peres Ozniyah are the 2 birds that have 1 siman of kashrus. How would I be able to learn out from them that they're the rule, not the exception? What about the fact that they're the same? And Shnei Ksum Bankechad Ein Malamdin. So you wanted to learn out from the Peres Ozniyah that 1 siman of kashrus is not enough. The Gemara then concluded that no, they're the exceptions, not the rule. But when the Havamina was that they were the rule, the Gemara wants to learn out from the Peres Ozniyah. But why? It's Shnei Ksum Bankechad Ein Malamdin. They're both the same. They both have 1 siman of kashrus. Says the Gemara, Taimid de Kasach Mana Nesher Halav Hachi Havamina Leil from Peres Ozniyah. Havli Peres Ozniyah Shnei Ksum Bankechad Shnei Ksum Bankechad Ein Malamdin. What about the fact that Peres Ozniyah are the same? They have 1 siman of kashrus. We don't know what the siman of kashrus is. Let's say they both have a zefek. Okay, they both have the same siman of kashrus, which means they're the same, and they're both no good. So how can I learn out from that? Anytime a concept is written twice in the Torah, you can't learn from it. So what was the Havamina? I can learn out from the Peres Ozniyah. I can't. Says the Gemara, Gemiri, we have a tradition. Dika b'hai leka b'hai. Dika b'hai leka b'hai. The answer is, while we know that a Peres Ozniyah only have 1 siman of kashrus, we have a tradition they don't have the same siman of kashrus. So because they're unique in that regard, I could learn out. The concept that shnei ksum bank echad ein malamdin means that if they're identical, you can't learn out from the two. But over here, they're not identical. While they both have one siman of kashrus, that siman of kashrus is not the same. Says the Gemara, one last point, we'll end with this. Michti, esim v'arba oifus t'meim have. I don't understand. We wanted to learn out from the 20 birds, then we wanted to learn out from the oriv, then we wanted to learn out from the parazosnia. But I don't understand. Out of all these birds, they definitely have the same qualities. There's only 4 simani akashus and there's 24 birds, and 23 of the 24 have at least 1 or 2 or 3. So how was I going to learn out from any of them? Shnei ksum bank echad. Yes, the parazosnia are not the same, but the other birds are. So says the Gemara, esim yarba oifus tmeim haba. There are 24 non-kosher birds, and 23 have kosher signs outside of the nesher. It's impossible that one kosher sign, that at least one of the kosher signs are by all of them. So so why did the Torah have to say nesher, right? The Torah had to say nesher because if not, I will learn out from the other 23 birds. But why? It's shnei ksum bank echad ein malamdin. So the Gemara says, I'll tell you why. There's one siman of kashrus that's not found that's only found by one bird. You have 24. The nesher has 0. Of the 23, there are 4 simani kashrus. 20 of them have 3 signs. 2 of them have 1 sign, and 1 of them has 2 signs, right? So this is 23. Out of those 4 simani kashrus, only 3 are found by multiple birds. There's one siman of kashrus that's only found by one bird and one bird only. Now, we don't know which one, but we know there's one bird that has the one siman of kashrus that's not unlike the rest. Therefore, it's not considered shnei ksum bank echad because there's one bird that has a unique siman of kashrus. Says the Gemara, Gemiri esav v'arba oifus tmeim have. Arba simanim, and there's 4 simanim. Tlasa hadri b'kuli. 3 of the kosher signs are found by the 23 birds. 23 birds have some iteration of the 3 kosher signs. Trei ba'orev, chad b'peresozniya. The isa b'hai les b'hai, the isa b'hai les b'hai. But one of the birds has a kosher sign that is not found by any other bird. And therefore, it's possible to learn out because it's not Sheikh Subin, because there's something unique. Now, so the Gemara concludes, and we'll end with this. Again, we started with a point. The point is the Torah outlaws nesher, which has 0 simani kashrus, and the Torah permits a turtle dove, which has all 4. And we were focusing on which one is the ikr and which is sort of tafel. So we said the ikr is nesher. For a bird to be non-kosher, it has to be like the nesher, which is 0 simani kashrus. If any bird has even 1, it's good, except for those 23 exceptions. So let me ask you a question. So why does the Torah have to mention a turtle dove? If you're telling me that the ikr is the nesher, that's the main one, which is 0 simani kashrus. But if a bird has a siman of kashrus, it's acceptable, except for those 23 exceptions. So why did the Torah have to mention a turtle dove? Turtle dove has all 4. But anytime you don't need all 4. Really, you just need 1's enough, right? We had opposite extremes. You had nesher and turtle doves. So you're saying the nesher is the ikr, the turtle doves is not necessary. So why is it there? So it says the Gemara, it's necessary for the carbon. You're right. When the Torah mentions to bring a turtle dove, it's not telling you the simani kashrus that you need all 4. It's telling you that it is brought as a carbon, not for the laws of kashrus. The laws of kashrus, I don't need it because I have nesher, and the nesher tells me any bird, for it to be non-kosher, needs 0 siman kashrus. If a bird even has 1 siman kashrus, it's acceptable. The Torah is purely written in order to be learned after the laws of karbanos. All right, we'll stop here. We'll pick it up tomorrow, Bez Hashem.